collision, running aground, capsizing, sinking, fire. When an accident occurs at sea, it's common for people to become flustered and unable to act calmly. Very serious mistakes can be made. The members of a crew must know how to react when they are thrust into a crisis. On many occasions in the past, people have failed to wait for the master's order to abandon ship and jumped straight into the sea, or else they have mishandled life rafts or lifeboats, and they have died as a consequence. If you rush headlong into action with no knowledge of survival principles, you will endanger not only your own life, but also the lives of many shipmates. At the very least, 4 elements of survival knowledge and techniques are essential. These are the proper use of life-saving appliances and equipment, actions to be taken when abandoning ship, survival knowledge and techniques when drifting, and the caution required when being rescued. In order to master these 4 subjects, drills are essential. Ordinary drills enable you to learn operating procedures and the mental attitude required when drifting in the open sea. It's necessary for you to be able to act calmly when an accident occurs. Crew members must make haste to assemble at the abandoned ship stations, but it's also important to dress as warmly as possible in order to be able to withstand the cold when drifting. The leading cause of death when adrift is not hunger or thirst, it's the decline in body temperature caused by the cold. In other words, hypothermia. A person afflicted with hypothermia loses consciousness, suffers a cessation of bodily functions, and ultimately dies. Look at this graph. It shows that even when you are in the water, thick clothing plays a major role in helping you avoid hypothermia. Thick clothing keeps you alive longer. So, to ward off hypothermia, wear a thick woolen sweater, for example. It's a good idea to wear a jacket, too. Also protect your head, legs and arms. Wear woolen socks, a hat and gloves. And you must remember to put on a life jacket. There are 2 types of life jackets, rigid and inflatable. When you don a rigid life jacket, make sure it fits closely to your body. Fasten everything very tightly. A life jacket is equipped with a light. It also has retroreflective material which reflects light and a whistle to attract attention. An inflatable life jacket is inflated by pulling on the activation lanyard. You should try to wait until you are in the water before you inflate it. preparations to abandon ship are complete, you should hurry to the designated assembly point. At a time like this, many people miss exits. They lose their way, get frightened, and become unable to exercise correct judgment. It's important to prepare by seeing for yourself the right way to the assembly point. Check the hatchways and exits. Make sure you will be able to reach the assembly point even if all of the ship's lights are off and it's dark. A ship must display a muster list. This specifies where members of the crew should go and what they should do in an emergency. In a real emergency, you must do what it says on the muster list. When you carry navigational aids and other articles aboard a lifeboat, you must not forget the radio life-saving equipment. So now let's take a look at items in the Global Maritime Distress and Safety System whose installation is compulsory and which will be used on a lifeboat or life raft after a ship sinks. The two-way radio telephone apparatus is a small transceiver that is capable of communicating on channels 16, 15 and 17 of international VHF. The radar transponder, or SART, emits response signals when it receives radar waves from search vessels or aircraft. It indicates your location and bearing on the radar scope used by the search and rescue vessels. So after the transponder has been carried on board the lifeboat or life raft, it must be installed correctly. Satellite EPIRB or EPARB refers to a buoy that transmits distress signals to search and rescue organizations via the COSPAS-SARSAT satellite. The float-free type of EPARB automatically floats clear when a ship sinks and automatically sends distress signals. When moving the EPARB during a drill, take great care to ensure that the switch is off, otherwise a distress signal will be transmitted. You should try to take with you as much clothing, food, water and blankets as possible. When abandoning ship, an inflatable life raft is an extremely easy life-saving device to use. However, in an ordinary drill, it's rare to actually throw the container holding the life raft into the sea and to let the life raft inflate. As a result, many crew members are not familiar with how to operate a life raft. On more than a few regrettable occasions, it has been impossible to use the life raft in a real emergency because the container was not maintained or supervised correctly. An inflatable life raft is stored inside a container that is mounted on a cradle. The cradle is secured with a special wire. Operating the manual throwing system automatically releases the wire and the container drops into the sea. The cradle for the container and the method of operation on ships that were constructed before April 1981 are different from those on ships constructed after that date. So you must make sure you know which type of cradle you have on your ship. Instructions can be found in the SOLAS training manuals on board your vessel. The new type of cradle is handled in the following order. First, check that the automatic inflation rope is fastened to the cradle and that the painter is fixed to the automatic release mechanism. Now pull out the safety pin and pull the trigger lever hard towards you. If you have operated the throwing device but the container has not been thrown, first try pushing the container. If that does not work, then lift the life raft by hand and throw it. The person in charge of inspection and servicing conducts inspection and maintenance of inflatable life rafts regularly in accordance with a maintenance manual, but you should pay particular attention to certain points. One thing is to check that the container is not lashed with other ropes. Also make sure that nothing is covering the automatic release mechanism and that the water pressure activator is not obstructed by paint or grease. If there is a problem in any one of these areas, automatic release in an emergency will be impossible. Imagine now that the ship is close to sinking. You have to jump into the sea. Take a deep breath, hold down your life jacket with one hand, and with the other cover your nose and mouth. Hold your elbows tightly to your sides and jump in feet first. Bear in mind, however, that jumping from a height of more than 5 meters is dangerous. So, as far as possible, use a Jacob's ladder, life net or rope. If the ship sinks very quickly, before you are able to launch the life raft, don't give up. When the life raft has sunk 3 or 4 meters below the surface, water pressure will cause the container's automatic release mechanism to work, and the life raft will inflate and float up. Very occasionally, a life raft will inflate upside down. In that case, place your feet on the carbon dioxide gas bottle and grip the righting system cord with both hands. Take advantage of the wind. Apply your body weight and the raft will be easily righted. When boarding the raft directly from the ship's deck, try to stay as dry as possible. In the case of a large vessel with a high deck, use a Jacob's ladder or life net if circumstances permit. Embarking directly is safest. In an emergency, ropes and fire hoses can also be used. If they are used, then people who board the life raft first should hold the end of the rope or hose to make it easier for others to come down. This is a Class 1 inflatable life raft. As it springs open, both the marker light outside and the interior light automatically light up. This makes embarkation easier at night. Unless you need to have the lights on, switch them off. The canopy sheet is a 2-layer structure. And the life raft is equipped with a lookout opening. In order to prevent capsizing while drifting, the life raft is fitted with a number of water bags. The life raft has a sea anchor that can withstand being towed at 3 knots. It is normally very difficult to get into a life raft from the sea, but getting into this life raft is easy because in addition to an embarkation ladder, it is also equipped with an inflatable embarkation arrangement. For the people who have boarded the life raft, the sinking vessel is extremely dangerous, so you must get away from the sinking vessel as quickly as possible. For this purpose, take the safety knife out of the pocket near the entrance where it is stored and cut the painter. Paddle with the oars. Move a safe distance away from the ship as quickly as possible. There may well be many shipmates in the water who had no choice but to jump in as they abandoned ship. Pick people up as quickly as possible and provide emergency treatment for those who require it. Some may be too exhausted to get into the life raft on their own. Make sure they are face up and wrap your arms around them to pull them in. The inflatable life raft should stay as close as possible to the area where the accident occurred. So deploy the sea anchor. The sea anchor stabilizes the life raft in wind and waves, and it also minimizes the distance drifted in each direction. Next, in order to make it easy for a search vessel or plane to find you, set up the radar transponder and the radar reflectors. Soon after you start drifting, many people on the life raft will tend to be overcome by a profound sense of hopelessness, brought on by the anxiety of being able to do nothing but wait to be rescued. This is where the role of leader is important. The first task for a leader is to make sure that everyone takes anti-seasickness pills. The vomiting that accompanies seasickness has a dehydrating effect and will make the sick person thirsty more quickly. Seasickness also undermines the will to live. A lifeboat, as an alternative to a life raft, is another essential to the survival of crew and passengers. The original open type was replaced after the 1st of July 1986 by 4 other types. A totally enclosed lifeboat has a structure with a watertight fixed cover made of fire-resistant material over the whole length of the hull. Even if the lifeboat capsizes when fully laden with people and equipment, it will automatically right itself. It's also capable of navigating on smooth waters at an ahead speed of 6 knots or more for 24 hours continuously. A lifeboat with a self-contained air support system is a totally enclosed lifeboat with a pressurized construction. It's designed for use on a sea covered with a physically harmful gas. It can provide at least 10 minutes worth of air for the persons on board to breathe and for the engine to operate. The fire-protected lifeboat ensures the safety of those on board when proceeding through a water area on fire. Protection lasts for approximately 8 minutes. This too is a totally enclosed lifeboat. It's equipped with a self-contained air support system and also a water spray cooling system. The basic requirements of a partially enclosed lifeboat are similar to those of the other 3 types of enclosed lifeboats. At least 20% of the boat's length is occupied by fire-retardant fixed covers at the bow and the stern. A folding canopy can be opened to cover the rest of the boat. Let's take a look at a drill involving a partially enclosed lifeboat on a passenger ship. Different ships have different procedures, from preparing to lower the boat until it is released, so make sure you know the procedure on your ship thoroughly. Release boat davit stoppers, boat winch stoppers and lashing ropes. Lower the boat to the embarkation position.
Okay.
Now attach the bowsing line and tighten it. Muster and roll call all persons. Then make sure that life jackets have been donned properly and examine articles being carried. After embarkation, release the pendant and the bowsing line. From inside the boat, pull the brake handling rope and lower the boat near to the water surface. Start the engine. Then, when the wave conditions and the rocking of the lifeboat allow, launch the boat by operating the release system. Cast Cast off the long painter. Steer the boat outward and go ahead to a safe area of sea. When the boat has left the accident location and reached a safe area, the boat leader makes sure there is no flooding in the boat, then sets up the radar transponder and the radar reflector. While drifting, one important task of the leader is to manage rations and drinking water.
水と食料は私が責任を持って管理します。1日3回公平に分配します。なお海鮮米十分に取っているので明朝までは支給しません。漂流に備えて我慢してください。
There are many tasks while drifting. These include keeping watch, maintaining the life raft, and caring for the sick. The leader must assign people to perform each task and must aim to maintain order and leadership authority. Keeping watch is one important task. Change the watch every 1 or 2 hours and maintain a watch right through the night. Bail out water. If the air pressure in the buoyancy compartment is too low, supply it with air. If air is leaking, fix it with the repair tools that are supplied with the life raft. Fix it in the same way that you would fix a puncture in a bicycle tire. Maintaining the life raft is important. Various types of distress signals are stored with the life-saving equipment. These include parachute signals, hand red flares, and buoyant smoke signals. These products are made by a number of different companies, so there will be certain differences in the way they are operated. It's essential to follow the printed directions and use the products correctly. There is a limit to the number of signals, so you must consider exactly when to use them. Launch or ignite one when people in a search vessel or aircraft will easily see it. A parachute signal shoots up vertically at least 300 meters and emits light for at least 40 seconds. A hand red flare burns for at least 1 minute. Sea colorant turns the surface of the sea yellowy-green, making it easy to spot from a search aircraft. A buoyant smoke signal is a daytime visual signal. It releases smoke for at least 3 minutes. If you are adrift in cold seas, the cold will be your biggest problem. Close the entrance and shut out the outside air. Don't let the warmth inside escape. If you take these steps, then even if the outside temperature is at freezing point, the temperature inside will stay at 10 degrees Celsius or more, assuming that the boat is fully laden with people. Also, make use of the items in the emergency equipment to help you stay warm. What you want to avoid most is getting your clothes wet in the sea. If your clothes do get wet, take them off, wring the water out, then put the clothes on again. This will enable you to prevent a loss of body temperature. Also, in order to prevent frostbite, loosen your shoelaces and massage yourself to maintain good circulation. If you are adrift in the tropics, the temperature inside the life raft will rise and dehydration can easily result. Open the entrance to the life raft to keep it well ventilated. Making the canopy wet with seawater also has an effect. If you let air out of the floor compartment, the seawater will provide a cooling effect and improve comfort, but always resupply the air at night. Another idea is to keep your clothes wet during the daytime.
では、水と食料を分配します。
If you remain adrift for a long time, the continuing limits on rations and drinking water will take a physical and mental toll. The leader must take great care to distribute items absolutely fairly so that no disputes arise. The water should not be swallowed in one gulp. Take your time over drinking it. Drinking seawater is dangerous and should never be done. Your body needs more water than the amount of seawater you drink in order to expel the salt in the water. This causes dehydration. Above all, when adrift, you must preserve the will to live. Rain at last. It doesn't matter in what environment you are drifting, rainwater is always valuable. The first rainwater you collect from the canopy will have a high salt content, so make sure you throw it away. The next rainwater should be stored for later use. Water is the most effective weapon against dehydration. Finally, everyone can drink as much rainwater as they want. Bear in mind that it's best not to drink rainwater that has been stored for more than 2 to 3 days. These days, search and rescue following an accident at sea is conducted using the GMDSS system. Based on international cooperation, this will eventually cover every area of the sea all over the world. The drifting life raft has been spotted. The long-awaited rescue operation has begun. But at this point, the way the people on the life raft are rescued can be a problem. When a sling from a helicopter has been put on, fix the safety belt and hold each arm firmly with the other. Keep that position until you are inside the helicopter. In order to withstand the harsh conditions of drifting on the ocean and make it back home, you must hold on to the strong conviction that you will be rescued and you will survive. A sailor who survived drifting on 4 occasions offered this comment: "What saved me was not panicking. In order not to panic, you must not get frightened. You must remain convinced that you will be rescued." Another person who survived 27 grueling days adrift wrote this to a friend: Drift will threaten you with devastating isolation and despair. You must find a way to endure the harshness of the conditions and stay convinced that you will make it through and you will be rescued. You must preserve your will to survive.